Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Guitar Talk with Todd here at Todd Beebe Music. Thank you so much for checking in and joining me today. We have another awesome guitar review. This is an original 1965 Gibson Firebird III, not a custom shop. This is the real deal right out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. I've had a couple of Firebirds on this show. Check those out. We have one that's unplayed on here from 1995, and we peeled the plastic off and the whole thing when we were on here. It was just fantastic. Original Firebirds came out in 1963. They were the brainchild of car designer Ray Dietrich and Gibson president Ted McCarty. Dietrich designed cars, and they wanted something that was very car-like. So the original Firebirds, which were called reverse, which are the ones we've had on this show, definitely showed that. They had the neck through construction where from here to here was all this one piece of wood. These here that I'm holding came a little bit later. This was the Firebird III. Keep in mind the even numbers, the 2s and the 4s and all that were the Thunderbirds. Those were the bases. But the 1, the 3, the 5, the 7, those are all Firebird guitars. And McCarty designed those with Ray Dietrich, and those were known originally in '63 as the reverse designs. These are what's called the non-reverse. Now what that really means, if you're not hip to that, is the reverse. If you look at an original Firebird from '63, it almost has this like flipped around reverse look to it, whereas this is called non-reverse because it's more traditional looking. A lot different than the original '63s. This has the set neck like you would have on a Les Paul or an SG or most traditional Gibson guitars. The Firebird 1 and the Firebird that has the 5 that has the neck that's neck through construction is very different from any. Gibson never had any other guitar that's like that. If I had to pick a Firebird out of the whole lineup, I'm gonna go with that. Those original ones with the neck through are just awesome to me. That's a true Firebird, but I shouldn't really use that term because this is certainly true too. And a lot of times these are overshadowed by those because there were some big name players that played Firebirds like Johnny Winter, Allencollins from Lynyrd Skynyrd, Rickey Medlocke from Lynyrd Skynyrd. I've had a lot of those guys on this show. Check out my interview with Rickey Medlocke in my interview section. Going into these, Warrenhaynes. Check out my interview with Warren that we did in 2025. Warren plays a Firebird III, and this is being recorded in August of 2025, and I believe Warren has a Firebird III signature model that's going to be coming out at some point. Don't know when we'll see that exactly, but I do know that's supposed to happen. I've always thought these guitars, Firebirds in general, were more Fender-esque. If you want to still play a Gibson, but almost feel like you're playing a Strat combined with a Gibson hybrid, if that makes any sense. Check out a Firebird, and this certainly is not any different. I mean, just playing this, it almost feels like you're playing a Strat in a way, but not. You've still got that Gibson neck, and it's very Gibson. You have the set in neck and everything, so it's very much Gibson, but yet it also feels Fender-esque, if that makes any sense. Chime in, comment below, let me know what you think. But the Firebird 3s like this often get overshadowed by the Firebird 1 and the 5 and ones like that, which we've all come to know and love. Those are my favorites too. But I've been playing this one a lot lately. Private owner brought this in, so we thank them for that. And doing a setup on it and whatnot. I've really come to love this thing and reawakened, whatever you want to say, my love for these 3s. They're just great guitars. A lot of times, even people like myself will say, oh, it's not a real Firebird as the neck through. And I still believe that, but the Firebird 3 is something unto itself. It's non-reverse, and it's just got some great stuff going on here. All original wood here from Kalamazoo. So we have the 6 in a row tuners here on this with the Gibson truss rod cover. Original nut, original frets. on the rosewood fingerboard with the dot inlays. This thing is in fantastic shape. We had the triple P90 pickups. Those of you who watch the show regularly know I'm not a huge fan of triple pickup guitars, simply for the fact that I pick really deep under the strings. I've always played that way, and I'm just slamming into that pickup all the time. So something you can kind of do, we'll talk about this more when we look at it in the case, is make sure that middle pickup is dropped down as low as it can go, which is how I have this set up for the private owner. And then you still hit it, but not as much, and it's definitely workable. This has the original Gibson Vibrola removed. We have that in the case though, so we're going to show that when we get some close-ups of it. And a original Gibson ABR1 was added to this. The three-way toggle switch, which was really common. These came with sliders originally, which were really prone to breaking, and it's real common that you'll see this now where it's been replaced with a three-way toggle switch like that, which is not uncommon at all. This has a lot of things that have been altered on it. At some point, someone added a switch to do in and out of phase stuff, which is no longer wired, and they actually added an extra control that had a lot to do with that, with phase control. They no longer work at all, so those are just on there, and it's kind of a shame, but that was a common thing, especially in the 70s. People would find these and say, oh, it's an old guitar. Let's carve it up and experiment on it. It's like, oh, no, because, you know, we love keeping things original on this show as much as we can, so that's a shame, but, you know, that ship has sailed. And someone once said to me, if you have the original wood on a vintage guitar, you're good to go, and this certainly does. There's no headstock breaks or anything on this, so it's just a beautiful, beautiful piece. All original on this. Nothing has been changed. It's just had some stuff added on to it, which is a shame, but at least there's no headstock breaks, and you've just got that classic Kalamazoo wood from 1965. Ted McCarty was the president of Gibson from 1950 to 1966, and that was the golden era of Gibson, in my opinion, and many other people's as well. We had the Les Paul, the Firebird, the Flying V, the Explorer, the ES335, so many things. The Tune-o-matic bridge was designed by Ted McCarty, the humbucking pickups, just so many things during that era. It was just fantastic. What a golden era. So I always like to say, if you have anything from 1950 to 1966, you're in that golden era of Gibson, and this is 1965, which was the original year of the Firebird IIIs like this with the triple pickups and whatnot. So this is the first year run. Fantastic stuff. But let's get some close-ups of this in the case and check it out more in depth. Here we go. Okay, so here is the case for the original Gibson 1965 Firebird III. Not original by a long shot, but it does the job. Okay. Getting in real close here, let's talk about this case for a second. This fits really well with this. We talked about this before on this show. And let me get some close-ups here to show you what I'm talking about. The only thing you ever want to watch out with a case is how it sits up here with the headstock. And it's kind of hard to tell because everything's so dark here, but this does clear. As you can see, I can get my pinky underneath there, so you're good. If the back of this headstock was resting right on the case and you couldn't, there was no clearance there, that is not the case you want your guitar in if you care about it at all. This should be free and clear, because if the back of this case ever gets hit or anything at all, you're in real trouble and a real risk of having that headstock break. So get yourself a case where it's elevated like that. Even if it's just a little bit, this is fine. So with this case, if this went all the way down and to the back here, this actually would hit down here. So as you can see, you could do simple things like this. I just shoved a t-shirt in here, and that pushes it up just enough where it's coming forward enough where up here it's going to be elevated. If this moved back and that t-shirt wasn't there, that would be sitting right on there. So little things like that can make a huge difference. Just a heads up, always make sure any guitar you have that headstock is free and clear down there in the setting. And then of course when you close the case, if it's doing this and you've got to fight it to get it down because you've elevated the headstock, then that's wrong too. That should just sit and close nice and comfortably, and you shouldn't have any issues. So just make sure you got the right case for your guitar. It can make a huge difference when it comes to protecting it. But all right, let's get some close-ups of this. First of all, right out of the gate, I want to talk about these. We were saying earlier, one of the owners that had this in the 1970s altered this, which was a huge thing. This switch was added, which is supposed to be like a in and out of phase thing, and it's not even wired anymore. It's just now part of the guitar. And an extra control was added on too, which also has to do with in and out of phase, controlling how much of it you have when it is on. That is no longer wired as well, but we still have our original potentiometers here for the 2-volume and 2-tone, and that's really all that matters. I mean, that's a shame that that was done. You know, we love to keep things original on this show, but it is what it is at this point. The original vibrola was taken off, which we actually have right here. So that was originally mounted right there, and we'll get some close-ups of this more in a second, but that's what these originally looked like. And then on the vibrola coming across was this, which would have been more up here where the 2-pneumatic is now, and you had that going across. Truth be told, this is a very common change that was made on these. It plays 100 times better with a ABR1 on here coming off of the original lightning bolt stop bar tailpiece, which these had. And like I said, that would be just like that, and it was going right across the stop bar, which was up here where the 2-pneumatic is now. And yeah, I mean, yeah, you could play them. The intonation was nowhere near as good as it is with this, and so many people just took these off. Is a very common thing, but I'm glad the original owner held on to this, and it's been passed on with the guitar over the years, so that's great. Another common thing is you would see these get plugged like this is. So that's a very common thing, and this plays very, very well. Down here, these originally had a slider. It was like a black switch. I'll try to put a picture up. And those were real prone to breaking. So this is another common thing you'll see where a 3-way toggle is just put in place of the original slider. Another very common thing. And then here we have the 3 pickups. And you can see right there, the middle one is down lower, which is a very common setup. If you're like me, when you're picking on a Gibson guitar, you kind of like that valley in between the 2 pickups because you've got that whole middle section there. If you pick deep like I do, you're not slamming into a pickup. The minute you throw this 3rd pickup in, you're in trouble. So the trick with that is getting that as low as it can go, which it is right now. We've set this up for the private owner. That way you can see the neck pickup and the bridge pickup are higher, so that allows you to kind of play here. And I've been playing this a lot lately. I haven't had any trouble at all with that pickup, so that's set up really well for that. Now, original Firebird logo has a little bit of wear going on there, but very cool. Just the original pick guard there from 65. Just looking great, in fantastic shape for being 60 years old this year. This is original Kalamazoo 1965, and this is being recorded in 2025, so this thing is 60 years old this year. Unbelievable. Going up the neck here, rosewood fingerboard with the dot inlays, coming all the way up to the Gibson Firebird III headstock here with the tuners. Just great, great stuff. Original Gibson truss rod cover on there. Nut is original. Frets are original. And looking at these, don't have very much wear. This thing has not been played very much. Just in excellent shape for being 60 years old. All right, let's flip this over, take a look at the back. Okay, so you can see right there, Grover, USA. These tuners are not original. They were also replaced, which is a very common thing. These Grovers were put on many, many years ago, so this has just become like part of the guitar at this point, and that's exactly what you'd want to put on. Very common to see tuners replaced on a vintage guitar. I mean, that's just the way it is. No breaks here, though. All original wood and no break. Lots of checking on that mahogany neck, but that is all original. All original Kalamazoo wood there from 1965. Okay, so on the Firebird 3s, like we are saying, you have the set-in neck. It's not neck through like the original Firebirds were, or Firebird 5 or something like that, which is way more popular. My preference as well, but these 3s are fantastic and definitely more Strat-like, for lack of a better term, but you do not have the neck through construction. You just have the set neck like you would there on a Les Paul or an SG or something along those lines. We have our strap button on the back and on the side as well. So you got both of those. But like we always say on the show, it doesn't matter either way because we are powered by straptight on this show. Stop dropping your guitars. Stop altering your guitars. Throw on a straptight and you are done. So check out our friends at straptight.com and start using them today. Just a great shot of the back there. Beautiful. The control cavity with the unlimited potentiometers that were thrown in there to try to do extra stuff through the years. But we still got the original ones in there, and that's all that matters. Great, great stuff. Like I was saying earlier, someone once told me all you need to have a true vintage guitar is the original wood. And we certainly do. This is the original deal here, 60 years old from Kalamazoo. So there's one more full case shot. The original 1965 Gibson Firebird III with set-in neck. Let's take one more quick look at the vibrola here as well. So there is the original vibrola in fantastic shape. You can see where that was taken off with the 3 screws right there that held it in place. This is in fantastic shape. And again, just hang on to all this stuff like you always should with anything you take off of your guitar. But you can see right here, that's where those original 3 screws went, and that was put on, and now that was removed, so you plug those holes up. Very common thing. Okay, so let's take this for a test drive like we always do. Play some slide, which Firebirds are always great for. I love doing slide on Firebirds. Just ask Johnny Winter, right? Firebirds are great for that. So let's take this for a test drive and see how it sounds. Check it out. Here we go. The 1965 Gibson Firebird III original right out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. Chime in, you guys. Let me know what you think. Please comment below. I'd love to hear from everyone. Do you have a Firebird 1, 3, 5, 7, any of the combinations, or a Thunderbird bass? What do you think? Have you played one of the newer custom shop models? They've replicated these fantastically right down to the T. We always salute Gibson Custom on this show. They do some great work there. And chime in, let me know what you think. Find me on all social media at Todd Beebe Music. And thank you all so much for checking in. And thank you to each and every one of you who already subscribe to this channel. If you don't, please hit that subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. We'd love having you on board here with us. And thanks again for joining us today. We will see you all again. Stay safe and love your dogs. Take care.